Well, in the last video I told you I was going to upgrade 3 Lima coaches I had to go with the resurrected, well, Frankenstein rebuilt Amtrak Bachmann cheapo FP40 passenger loco, and here are the coaches. They were a grey dull finish originally, and I masked over the red, white and blue we'll bring them back around here and stop them so you can have a better look. Bring it down to a nice crawl. Look at that flywheel drive, €2, $2 this cozy. Okay, so before I get to the passenger cars, the loco, it was running no problem, and you saw in the last video, running fine. When I put more than 2 coaches or more on it was having wheel slip and having difficulty pulling. Now I assumed that the black plastic wheels under the drive section, which is at the back of this locomotive, was slipping or something, and to my amazement I discovered that there were two traction tires there. The traction tires were dry and brittle and had a shiny surface. I took them off and I replaced them with 2 new traction tires, and this thing is capable of pulling 10 coaches now, no problem. I'm very happy with it now. There's the thing how little I spent on that model. I'm just over the moon that I have it. In fact, I'm over the moon now. I have an Amtrak train, a short one, yeah, but I've seen these on videos. There are short Amtrak trains, or there was in certain states. Now the coaches are Lima in Amtrak colours, and they were a dull grey. What I did was I used Tamiya masking tape, the yellow thin stuff, and masked out just the window stripes on all the coaches, and then I hit them with a chrome finish rattle can paint, nothing special, just from the auto store, and I'm delighted with the results. Now I don't know and I don't care if these are prototypical Amtrak coaches. They're probably not. They are shorty coaches, but interestingly enough, they're about a centimetre or a half an inch longer, quarter of an inch or half an inch longer than the Athean shorty coaches. So they're compressed to something a bit longer than 1/100th scale. Now I have a small layout, relatively, and if you had placed a longer loco, not a 8-wheel loco, but say a 12-wheel, like passenger loco, say an E loco, like an E8 or an E7, they would look ridiculous with these shorty coaches. But the 8-wheel short wheelbase FP40 doesn't look bad at all. It's plausible. Again, I'm not a perfectionist. I want an Amtrak train, and I've noticed that O-scale modelers in America are perfectly happy with running not particularly realistic models, and I think that's a great thing. And again, I think I paid they were in a bargain bin basement thing at a train show. I think I paid €10 for these. So I have a flywheel drive locomotive, I have, and 3 coaches. That cost me 2, we'll say 5 max, 5 to 7, and that under €20 I have an Amtrak train, and it runs beautifully, and we'll let it go one more loop, and I'll show you what this video is really about. Look at that. Just look at that. Off into the distance. She goes. And I run my train slow, and I'll tell you why. That can go much faster than that. It doesn't fly around the layout, because it's got a 24-volt motor, but it can go much faster than that. I run my passenger trains and all my trains slow, and I'll tell you why. It's a way of making your layout bigger. If you have a tail chaser layout like I have with 3 loops here, and you just like watching trains go by slowing the trains down, you make the layout actually bigger. Now this is what today's video is about, and I'll bring it into the frame. Going the wrong way. The Mehano model of the Boeing Tram. Now let me tell you about this model. First let me tell you about the prototype, my experience with it. About 20 years ago I was on holiday in Boston, and I was looking at the paintings in the Boston Museum and the art exhibits there and so on. And I went down to catch a connecting train on the Boston subway system. And while all these typical looking American subway type trains went by like you would see in underground in New York or Philadelphia, to my amazement, under the ground came this tram. And apparently it works out towards the Matawan line, I think, as you're used to. Now these were built by Boeing in the 1970s and they weren't particularly a good success. There was problems with the doors and everything. This Mehano model was built in the 1970s in the old Yugoslavia. There was a time up until the late 90s you could get this thing for a bargain. You could pick this thing up for under 20 euros. Seriously, or under 20 pounds or so and so. But they're really quite difficult to get now and they are quite expensive. I've got 2 of them. They're real collectors models now. And I have 2 of them. And they're really attractive, and this brings back memories of my holiday in Boston and riding on these trams. To my amazement, I might add, and to my delight. Now, that's another aspect of why this hobby is wonderful. We can use the trains and our models to bring us back to places we were in the past, and they bring back all kinds of memories. So the Boeing tram, there's an interesting story about this one. When the Manchester in England, the Manchester tram system was being built, they actually were going to use some of these trams, and I believe some were taken over and tested in Manchester with the intention of seeing if they could make them work in Manchester, but they didn't work, and they found in England they had the same problems they had with them in Boston. And I also believe these trams ran in the USA also in San Francisco. So if you can pick up this model, it runs beautifully. It's got a really fascinating articulated section here in the middle that's almost like a puzzle. When you're servicing these models, they're almost like a puzzle how they go together. They're brilliantly designed, and they have end gauge couplers at the front, which I took off because I think I think one is still on. And I've never run them in pairs. I usually run them on 2 different tracks. So let's pretend we're somewhere in Boston today and we have trams going out, Boeing trams traveling on one line and an Amtrak train coming from somewhere in the other. And let's just sit back and enjoy the show. Remember, never throw anything away. Please subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the videos on this channel. Thumb it up if you do and share it, that'd be even better. Thank you.